Hi everyone, this is Matt. Thanks for watching and welcome back. 6 months ago, I had a major heart attack that resulted in emergency open heart surgery and a quadruple bypass in order to save my life. The purpose of this video is to share my experience with you over the last 6 months and let you know if you've recently had a heart attack, what to expect, or if you are a friend or a relative of somebody that has had a heart attack, been in the hospital, come back out with open heart surgery like me, how to help your friend, how to help your family. So here we go. The first thing that you're going to notice when you get back from the hospital, and let me tell you what, it's good to be home after an event like that. The first thing, unfortunately, is pain. Now, it just so happens to be that I'm one of those rare individuals out there that have this weird little genetic sequencing that means that narcotic painkillers don't work on me. So the standard pain medications that they would give you or send home with you from the hospital, they don't work. So translation, I had to go through all the pain. Now, that's not a new thing for me because back in 1998, I was diagnosed with cancer. So I had a radical nephrectomy, which meant that they took out my kidney. And that was the worst pain that I ever experienced. This, on the other hand, was a walk in the park compared to it. But pain is something that you will have to deal with. It is just simply one of those things. Thankfully, we have ways of mitigating that. And one thing that you'll become very familiar with is this. I'm going to step back here so you can see it. This is going to be your best friend. This is a pillow. And how you're going to use it, it seems, kind of silly at first, but let me tell you what, there's no shame in using the pillow. You're going to learn to hug the pillow when you cough, which means that you're going to do this, wrap it tight, and then when you cough, you're going to be thankful that you have this pillow. This pillow, like I said, is going to be your best friend because it is going to help mitigate the pain. And obviously you're not going to be able to be on painkillers forever. So coughing is something that you're going to get used to with the pillow. But the one thing that I will share with you that is the absolute worst is a sneeze. When a sneeze sneaks up on you and you go achoo, that is like the worst thing. You weren't expecting it. And trust me, what you want is you want that sternum to heal up as quickly as possible. And it will. It just simply takes time. The old saying that, time heals all wounds is very true, especially in this context. But if I can get through it, so can you. You really can. The next thing that you're going to notice is when you get home from the hospital is the loss of the ability to do very simple tasks, things that we take for granted in our day-to-day life. Things like driving a car. Let me tell you, if you are driving one of those really small, fuel-efficient type of vehicles, when you first get out of the hospital and people are taking you to doctor appointments and things like that, you're going to curse it. Because you have to learn a new way of getting in and out of a vehicle, and frankly, it's not a whole lot of fun. That's where having just a regular old, full-size car is a wonderful thing. They're not going to let you drive for at least a month. Now, I know that if you're independent-minded, you want to get back behind that wheel as fast as possible. But there's two things to consider. One is, there's an airbag right in front of you on the steering wheel. They don't want the chance of you being in an accident and coming forward and impacting the steering wheel, or worse yet, having the airbag deploy. Because let me tell you, the doctors and the nurses at the hospital will put the fear of God in you that by telling you stories of patients that died from such things, or from, in one example that they gave me, falling off of a ladder. Yeah. I did not drive until I was released to do so by the doctor. Even then, it was still a little bit painful because this is still healing. So, I mean, we have power steering today, right? Simple motions, like driving the car at first, it's not exactly pain-free. So that is something that you're going to, unfortunately, have to deal with and look forward to. Doing something like your own laundry. Unfortunately, to begin with, somebody else is going to have to take care of that. A friend, a family member. Going up and down stairs. A unique challenge, to say the least. And the one thing that you definitely don't want to happen during your rehabilitation post-surgery is falling. You really don't want to fall. You want to be in control as much as possible of what your body is doing. If you have a house and you're used to mowing your yard, X that one off. That's not going to happen even if you have a riding lawnmower. And you're not going to want to do that. Thankfully, I had a really good friend that took up the mantle and mowed my yard. And when he couldn't do it, I had a great neighbor that would do the same thing. God bless both of them, because I was not able to mow my yard the entire summer. That's just the way it goes. Something else, very simple. Going to the grocery store. Something like pushing a grocery cart. Forbidden. Absolutely forbidden. So suddenly you go from being independent, able to do everything, to being dependent upon people. So I live by myself. I'm single. Thankfully, my daughter came over on a daily basis and checked on me, did things around the house. My friend Mike, who mowed my yard, he would do the same thing. Both of them would take me to doctor appointments and things of that nature, and I had neighbors that assisted. Also, the hospital sent nurses out here to my house a couple of times a week to check on me, make sure that everything was going all right. And I'm thankful for those nurses. So let me see. Talked about coughing. Oh, getting in and out of a chair or up off of a couch. You're going to have to learn a different technique, because you might have gotten used to pushing yourself out of a chair. That's not going to happen. Your body is immediately, the moment that you make that pre-programmed response, your body is just going to say, stop. Not happening. Getting up out of bed. That's going to be interesting too. You're going to have to roll onto your side, and you're going to have to basically come right across the front of your chest, and roll up. Again, it's a challenge, but it's something that you can get through. One thing that I experienced immediately after getting home from the hospital was a loss of appetite, which after a procedure like that, from what they tell me, is fairly normal. I ended up losing roughly 25 pounds within just a few weeks. And I just simply wasn't hungry. So I would eat, but it was something like soup. It was something fairly simple, just because for a while I didn't have an appetite. And frankly, everything tasted weird. It tasted funny. So it could have been because of the medications that they're using in the hospital under general anesthesia. I don't know. But when even water tastes weird, just plain old water, no. I used to love drinking coffee. No, that stuff tasted horrible. So eventually the appetite comes back, but for a while it was pretty non-existent. The other thing that I encountered, that you will encounter, is being introduced to medications that they send home with you. We're talking about things in the realm of, for blood pressure, maybe heart rhythm regulation. So chances are they sent you home with a beta blocker and maybe a calcium channel blocker, or what they call ACE inhibitors. I don't know all the nomenclature because I'm not a doctor, but suddenly I go from not taking medications to basically having to have a pill minder and separate out all this stuff as to what time of day I was going to end up taking it. And that takes some getting used to. Also, the medications can have odd side effects, and that means that you're going to be communicating those things with your doctor. In my case, I didn't suffer from high blood pressure before my open heart surgery, before my heart attack, but as a precaution, they sent me home with blood pressure medication. That resulted in me having a blood pressure crash, where my blood pressure went suddenly really, really low, and it resulted in an emergency room visit. The other thing that you're going to probably be sent home with are blood thinners. And with that comes, again, a unique set of challenges. I ended up in the ER because I had a nosebleed that would not stop. The other thing is, you're going to bruise easy. So just be ready for that. It's something that we have to deal with for 6 months to a year, depending on what your cardiologist wants you to do. So it's just something to look forward to or to be aware of. You will bruise easily. It doesn't take much when you're on blood thinners, but they're necessary for your health. I do not know a delicate way of dealing with the next issue, but something that the medications do to you and everything else is create an issue that we would call constipation. You do not want that. That is bad. They will tell you stories about what can happen with that. And trust me, stay hydrated, increase your fiber intake, because when you're on blood thinners and everything else, you don't want to have that sort of problem. The other thing that's going to go on after your heart attack and for a considerable amount of time, you're going to be dealing with a lot of emotions. They say that the heart is an emotional organ. Well, until you've had an experience like that, you really don't know what they're referring to, because in my case, I always thought of the heart and the blood vessels kind of being like the plumbing inside of a fire truck, where you had this massive pump and you had all of these connections, these interconnections. But what I didn't realize was that you get home from something like this and suddenly your emotions get a little bit wonky. I didn't really have an issue with that after my cancer surgery, but something involving the heart, seems to bring that out. So if you have emotions that come to the surface a little bit easier, that is really nothing that is unusual. So, it's okay. It's just part of the healing process. That's something that you may experience. So don't worry about it. There will be odd things that you might experience, such as pain. You might have a phantom pain or an actual pain, because after all, they take a saw and they open you up here, and there's a lot of things that got twisted, convoluted, stretched, strained, you name it, and the healing process is taking effect. Nerves have been cut, muscles, other ligaments, other tissues have been severed in that process. So as the body begins to heal itself, you're going to have some weird sensations. You're going to have some weird pains. When in doubt, check it out. Contact your doctor. Call your doctor's office. If you're really worried about something, go to your doctor. Go to the ER. It's better to err on the side of caution than to completely ignore it. The odd pains, the odd sensations can easily happen. In my case, after I got home from the hospital, I had a profound shortness of breath, where it would sound something like this. I'm trying to talk to you, but I'm really getting winded. I'm not kidding. It was like that. In one of my early videos on this topic, you can hear me struggling to speak. And shortness of breath was something that I experienced. So that can happen. The next thing is, after a certain period of time passes, the doctor is going to want to send you to cardiac rehab. And I highly, highly recommend it, because you need to get up, you need to move. Because if you stay stagnant, if you stay in your recliner or on the sofa or in bed. That's not good. Cardiac rehab I found to be a very enjoyable experience. At first, it was a bit torturous. Now, what are you going to experience in cardiac rehab? Well, first of all, in my case, I was around a great team of cardiac rehab nurses. They gave me excellent support, excellent encouragement. Now, at first, it feels like you're going into torture, because what are they going to do? They're going to take your blood pressure, they're going to hook you up to a heart monitor, and the very first thing, you're going to end up on a treadmill. And I think my first experience at the treadmill was walking at 1.8 miles per hour, 0% grade for, maybe 15 minutes. And I thought that was torture. After that, it was transitioning to a recumbent bicycle, a stationary bicycle. Again, that didn't feel good. Now, I had led an active lifestyle before my heart attack, and they sit me down and they give me this little 1-pound dumbbell, this little 1-pound weight. And I look at it, I'm like, really? Are you kidding? And the simple task was to take this dumbbell, this little tiny dinky 1-pound weight, and hold it right here, and then push it out and hold it here. Let me tell you something, that hurt. That really hurt. That little bitty 1-pound weight, that hurt. After you work out with weights, starting with what I call the weenie weights, that are just 1 pound, they're also going to have you do exercises of just getting up and down from a chair without assistance. Just simply, using your legs to get up and down, up and down. And then it finishes off with stretching. So you stretch after each session. I went to cardiac rehab 3 times a week. I got to the point where I really enjoyed it. I looked forward to going to cardiac rehab. I really did, because the team of nurses were absolutely great. And also, I should say that during cardiac rehab, you're going to run into situations where one day it feels like you just crushed it. You did the workouts, you went longer and farther and faster than you ever did before. And then the next day, everything starts to feel just a little bit on the weird side for you. After cardiac rehab, at some point, you're going to end up going back to work. That can bring some challenges to you. So depending on your work, when the doctor releases you to go back to work, just keep everybody informed as to how you're feeling. The other thing I would say, keep moving. After cardiac rehab, after everything else, keep moving, keep exercising. Most importantly, keep walking. Walking is critical. So just please walk. The other thing that's going to happen is during, all of this, you're going to probably hit a reset button. And in my case, it was like figuring out what's really important in my life. And the simple things, the things that we take for granted, actually are the most important things. So use this time to reflect. And, if you want to declutter your life and you want to move in a positive direction, by all means do that. Because you've been given a second chance or even a third chance at life. So take full advantage of it. Spend time with your friends, your family, and, do those things that make you happy. And there you have it. So finally, to wrap this up, where am I at now? Well, it's 6 months later. I still have, weird things, that happen. So, I'm still very aware that I had a heart attack. The pain, I would say, is gone. But you still will notice things like you're going to be monitoring your blood pressure. And so you're going to be a little hyper aware of any changes in your blood pressure. You will notice how your heart beats. You're going to notice any little symptom of shortness of breath, and that's all normal. It just simply happens. But I'm in a better place now than I was 6 months ago. However, the other thing is you come to a realization that you had a significant event happen in your life that was a medical emergency. So, the future, when we're young, we think, that we're immortal, that nothing is ever going to happen to us. And now the way that I look at things is I simply want to be the best person that I can going forward, help as many people as I can, and make as much of a difference in the lives of other people. Because this is not about me. This is about other people and just simply being thankful that I'm still on the planet. So I hope that this helps you. I hope this has given you encouragement. And, take care. May you have the best of health. May you have the best of relationships with your friends and your family. And like I said, keep on moving and don't let this control you.